And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the always pressing PGA DFS podcast, previewing this week's PGA Tour Action DFS. I am on Twitter at BDentric, and my co-host is always on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. Jesse, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too shabby. And we'll bring in our third member of the show, and it's good to have him back-to-back weeks. And you can find him on Twitter at Kevin's Delight when he's not burning down bookies online. Kevin, how we doing, man?
Yeah, doing good, thanks. Hope you guys are well, and look forward to another great show.
Yeah, should be great. Real quick, we'll talk about WGC concession. We talked about it last week. We said it looked like it'd be a pretty tricky track, and it seemed like you were either on or you're off out there. Any thoughts on last week's action, Jesse?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun golf course to watch. That's for sure. Challenging. Obviously, Morikawa got to 18 under and won by 3, but there was plenty of dudes who were nowhere near 18 under. It was a huge spread, which a lot of times it happens in WGC events. But Wolf opened up with the 83 there, and there was a couple other 80s I think sprinkled in. So it was one of those golf courses where if you didn't hit your spots, man, it was going to be a long, hard day. So I enjoyed watching it. Morikawa played great. Hovland's on fire. Brooks was there. It was a great golf tournament to watch. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the big dogs were there for sure. What were your thoughts on it, Kevin? Because we talked about last week how you played it, and it was did it live up to the hype for you?
Yeah, it was cool to see those guys play the track, and man, feel bad for Victor, right? I mean, that finish on Friday really kind of did him in, but what a way to fight back and still nearly have a chance to win it on Sunday. Pretty damn cool.
How hard was that shot that he hit on? I think it was it 17? Was it 17?
The one he hit backwards and birdied?
Yeah. That was 13, where he hit it over the green and then knocked it up on that green. I mean, how you as a PGA pro, Kevin, on a level of 1 to 100, what would you put that?
Well, it was awfully difficult. I think as you saw him hit the shot and the ball take off from near the bush, it just rolled straight downhill. So he had plenty of space. All he had to do was really get the ball rolling. But to do what he did and cap it off with making the birdie putt was pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, it's like you almost could see the foreshadowing of like the Friday afternoon happening all over again. Like he's in the bush, he's going to launch this thing over, because we saw on 13 on Saturday where the pin placement was. If you were in the bunker to the left of it, I guess if you're watching on TV, or you're on the right, it's flowing out both ways. It's not sitting on top. It was a hell of a pin placement on that Saturday. You saw guys out of the bunker hit it to look like it'd be sitting pretty, roll off the green on the other side of that collection area way down the hill. It was wild watching some of the places guys had to leave it. And one of the announcers, I think it was on Sunday, said, like, when Billy Ho hit a layup shot on the par 5, he goes, "These guys must go home since there's nothing to do and watch us on TV at night and see where these guys actually are successful is where they're landing the ball. If you get too aggressive, you can get burned real quick at that golf course." So I thought it was an awesome course that rewarded the good shot makers, and that's why Morikawa won.
Yeah, he was on fire with his irons. Just played lights out. Him and Hovland both. I mean, they were, I saw a lot of people saying, I'd hate to play this golf course daily and that kind of thing, man. I don't know. For me, I think it'd be great. I think it's a challenge, right? Like, it's not your normal knock it onto a flat green and, 2-putt. You got to think your way around it. And I think that's what makes that kind of golf course great. And, it's just different. I hate playing the same shit all the time.
Yeah. I think it'd make you a better golfer to be challenged like that all the time. That's why I laughed about guys saying they wouldn't play it. And at the same time, when we're teeing it up, maybe not Kevin, but when we're teeing up, I'm not playing the tips. So I'm guessing that course plays a little bit different when I show up. Like, was it 17 or maybe 16 where they had to drive it over the water?
Yeah, 16.
Basically, you could see where they were. Our tee boxes were to the right where there's no water in play unless you slice it to the left or whatever. It wasn't even involved in the golf course. So it's just one of those deals where I would love to play it. I think it'd be awesome. I'd bring extra golf balls. There's no hiding that. But I do that almost anytime I play any other golf course, because there's something to be said when you play your local course enough. You know where you can miss. You know where you can do different things. And I can play my local course here in town, and majority of the time I can leave with the same golf ball. But if I go and play some other course, it might be easier. I'm still losing at least a sleeve or so. It's just the way it's going to go. So, Kevin, any final thoughts on the WGC?
No, I think it was fun to watch, and amidst the garbage of the pandemic, it has been pretty cool to see some of these courses that you may not have seen otherwise. I think we talked about it last week, or I mentioned it. Shadow Creek we saw. We also saw a WGC concession this week. It'd be cool if the tour did a little bit more of that. I mean, it's fun year after year seeing the same places over and over, the good ones at least. But also this year, the last couple of years has opened the door to play some new golf courses, and that's always fun to see too.
How about there being fans out there too? That was weird.
Yeah, Florida's wide open.
But it was cool, man.
It was cool. Yeah, it was cool to hear
Florida has zero give a shit.
Yeah, it was cool to hear the applause. That's for sure. Like all of a sudden you see it, but yeah, Florida's never closed. So just like I've told stories to people. People say they travel there for business or whatever. And the second they get out of the airport, they're like, "Oh crap!" Like, it's a whole different world here.
Yeah, it's totally different. So even Kentucky, So
yeah, more power to them. All right, so that wraps up. It'd be cool, like you said, Kevin. I hope they keep the concession somehow in a rotation. That'd be fun. Like I don't know if it's a major or what, but something in the rotation would be pretty darn cool. Let's talk about the Arnold Palmer Invitational. We have a lot of event history, Jesse, so hit us with the goods.
Yeah, it seems like it was 10 years ago, but it was last year. Tyrell Hatton won this golf tournament. He shot 4 under. Do you guys remember what the weather was last year? I don't remember shit.
It had to be windy if that's the score.
I think cold and windy, right?
I guess. I mean, so he opened up like 68, 69, and then won it by shooting over par on the weekend. I don't know. I literally do not remember this besides Hatton winning. So he shoots 4 under. He wins by 1 shot over Mark Leishman. 2019 was the year of Francesco Molinari, 12 under, 2 shots over Fitzpatrick. Rory was the 2018 champion, 18 under, 3 shots over Bryson. Leishman won this in 2017, 11 under, 1 shot over Hoffman and Kisner. Jason Day, 2016. Matt Every went back-to-back in 14, 15. Tiger Woods has won this 8 times. And unfortunately, not in the field this week. But, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, this is an event where, as you were naming off names, it's pretty much the Euros do well here. And especially with the schedule change with the players next week. A lot of dudes taking the week off. So I was thinking about it earlier today. I'm like, if Arnie was still alive, how many guys actually show up? I think it changes a ton at this event if Arnie's still alive. But or if Tiger says, I'm going, I bet you a bunch of the boys show up. But maybe we'll find out someday. But all right, let's talk about the golf course here, Bay Hill. It's in Orlando, Florida. This is the place where Jason Day has withdrawn twice and gone to Walt Disney World the next day. So keep that one in mind. Par 72, 74, 54. If you just look at the basics, it's a lot like concession off the top of your heads. It's not the same golf course, but got to be accurate off the tee. There's a lot of water in plays. There's a lot of bunkers in play. The greens are much more forgiving, it seems like, than at concession. Bermuda greens. They don't roll super fast. I think I saw 11 to 12 on the stint, probably closer to 12. But the fairways get hit about 60 to 65% of the time, give or take. Greens get hit around 50 to 55% of the time. So it's not like a super, super difficult track, but if you are wayward, you'll get in trouble. Any other thoughts on the golf course, Kev?
Got to get the par 5s. The 4 easiest holes in the golf course are the 4 par 5s. And they get birdied at a very, very high clip out here. So take advantage of the par 5s.
Sweet. Jesse, what kind of stats are you looking at this week?
Yeah, for that reason, I do weight pretty heavily par 5 scoring. It's a lot of greens and regulation, hitting the ball as far as you can, then hitting another green, and then hoping to make some putts. But there's plenty of course history, so I'll weight that heavily as well.
What about you, Kevin? What are you looking at for stats?
Yeah, for me, I found tee to green is the most important stat for me this week. Some massive numbers from guys that have won here in the past and guys that have contended have been +7, 8, 9, even +11 at times tee to green. And I think it's a huge stat for me this week.
Please forgive me, Jesse. When you went back, isn't this the place where Rory just absolutely demolished the field because he putted out of his rear end that week?
I think so. Was that? 2000.
I think this is the one.
He gained 10 shots putting. I don't have those stats.
Yeah, Kevin was nodding his head. If I remember correctly, he was just lights out everywhere. It was ridiculous.
He shot 18 under and he won by 3 shots. So yeah, I think that was it. I always get it confused whether it was this tournament or the players, because he's won the players before, but I don't know if But if Kevin says it was this tournament, it was this tournament.
Yeah, the Players was close. I think he had to fend off Furyk there at the end to win the Players.
There's a statement we never thought we'd hear. Rory had to fend off Furyk. That's good. That's a good.
How about that?
That's golf in a nutshell, folks. Golf in a nutshell.
It's true.
At any given time. But yeah, Rory's going to be checking the boxes here big time. The other thing is you mentioned the par 5 scoring. The par 3s are around 200 to 230 yards. They're not super short, so you have to have a good kind of longer iron approach game when it comes to the par 3s as well. So if you guys want to plug that stuff into your database, go for it there. But let's get at it. Well, Fanshare Sports first. Let me chalk that up real quick. Coming in good form over the last 10 events, Victor Hovland leads the way in DraftKings scoring, followed by Pat Reid. Patton Kezire's third in this field. Cam Davis and Max Homa are the top 5 in this field. That's pretty surprising, but that's DK scoring for you. Last 10 events on Bermuda Greens when it comes to DK scoring. McIlroy leads the way. It's followed by Sungjae, Molly, Usti, and Hatton. A lot of former winners in that one. And then the last 10 events on courses par 72, 7,400 and beyond. McIlroy, Hovland, Pat Reid, Sungjae, Hoffman. So some crossover in those two for sure. Let's get into the DraftKings scoring for the week. Yeah, DraftKings picks for the week. 10K and above. You got Rory at 11.5, Bryson 11,000, Victor 10.6, Reid 10.2, Hatton 10,000. Jesse, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I missed this last week, and I don't know what I was thinking, but Hovland, like his run is ridiculous. Second, obviously last week, which was a good finish, but before that, 5th, 6th, 2nd, 31st, 3rd, 1st, and those are worldwide starts. I mean, obviously he had the one start over in Saudi Arabia or whatever, the Bonesaw, finished 6th. So I like Hovland quite a bit. I think Rory he's definitely playable. His course history is ridiculous. 5th, 6th, and 1st his last 3 years. If you go back 4 years, he finished 4th that year, coming off the 6th place finish. Obviously didn't play well at the Genesis, but it got it figured out. I mean, he had a lot of opportunities, and you know, it's one of those things with Rory constantly. If he gets the putter going, you know, he'll be there. And then Hatton at 10,000, defending champion, hasn't missed a cut here in any start that he's had, which goes back basically 4 years, coming off the 22nd last week. Been playing well over on the European Tour as well. So I like Hatton. Those would be my 3 guys with you know, an emphasis on Hovland there. Rory more GPP. Hatton, I think, you know, I don't think he's going to be under-owned by any means.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, it's definitely Rory week for me. I mentioned I was going to do that at Genesis, and I backed off quite a bit, but I think this is definitely a chance to plant the flag. And like Jesse said, he's 6 of 6 made cuts here, 4 straight top 6s, including a first-place finish. And this past weekend was very encouraging, coming off the miscut Genesis, seeing him finish, I think, top 6. And his tee to green game was on point. I'd like to see him back with the blade, try and free up his stroke a little bit. It seemed like wasn't all that great with the spider, but it's Rory and Hovland for me. And after that, I'm touching nobody up there. Just off the stats I've run, it's those 2 guys and nothing else.
Yeah, I was all over Hovland last week. He was my one and done, and it worked out quite well. So
Yes, it did.
yeah, I just wish that's what made that quad on Friday burn even more. Just thinking like, oh. But it is what it is. But he's a great play. I'm with you, Kev. I think Rory is just and I don't pay up a ton on this show, but if you're paying up, because like the 9K range, you can make your arguments very well. But Rory at this course, like when we talk later about our one and done pick this week, gentlemen, I think he needs to be started the conversation. But I think he's a great play at 11.5. There's really nothing else to add there. The only other guy I'll mention, because you guys didn't mention him, and I think he goes extremely overlooked again this week, and I'm pretty sure you guys know where I'm going with this one.
Patrick Reid
at 10-2, it just checks the boxes, because if it's a course where you're not going to have to go score like 20 under and you can grind things out, this is Patty Reid. Like, it has him written all over it. I know the Euros are dominating here, but Reid, 3 for 3 of his last 3 years on make cuts, 15th, 50th, and 7th. Finished 9th last week, and he kind of just blew up a little on the week. It didn't play horrible, but he was in contention for quite a while last week. So I think you can get a very low on Patrick Reid if you want. I prefer Rory. If you want to save $1,300, Patty Reid's going to go basically unowned in this 10K range, I have a feeling. 9K range, you got Fitzpatrick getting the price bump to 98, so I'm going to have to do some drinking to figure this one out. Sungjae at 97, Matsuyama at 94, Spieth 93, J-Day 92, Casey 91, Fleetwood 9,000. Kevin, where are you going in the 9K range?
I probably won't play many guys here. This is kind of a spot for me that I feel is a little bit dead. I do like Fitzpatrick. He's the only person I've bet so far, primarily because there's not many great numbers, and I do feel like Rory gets back in the winner's circle this week. Sung Jae played here twice, 2 third-place finishes, so it's pretty damn impressive there. And J Day, if I want to throw him in some GPPs, but other than that, I'm not going to be here very much.
It's a tough range because I mentioned how 9Ks you can make arguments for a lot. 8Ks even crazier. So
8K's good.
8K is really good. Jesse, what do you like in the 9K range?
Yeah, I like a lot. I mean, Fitzpatrick 9,800, ninth year last year, second the year before that, and is just trending in the right direction. 11th last week, 5th at the Genesis. Played over in Dubai, finished 17th there. Had a win back in December. Playing really well. Sung Jae, Kevin already hit on it. He's just a kind of a cash game, kind of plug and play and forget about it. I like Spieth at 93. Never played here.
I knew I was waiting for it.
3 straight top 15s for the guy. 2 top 5s mixed in there. I mean, it's worth a gamble. I wouldn't put him on a cash lineup, but I think Spieth at 9,300 is fine. And then Paul Casey, man, just from like a stats perspective on my Fantasy Labs model here, he just rates out really well. Hasn't played here since 2017, but finished 41st that year. 9th the year before that. Has 2 missed cuts in 3 years prior to that. So, but I mean, the guy's playing really well. 5th place at AT&T. A win in Dubai at 9,000 or 9,100. I like him quite a bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those ranges where I don't know if it's per se you could get GPP wise, you can get some ownership plays here because you can make arguments for these guys to win. Like I see both sides of the spectrum of what you guys said. Like Kevin kind of wants to avoid it. Jesse likes it. For me, it's like I'm either starting out with Rory or I'm going with like a Fitzpatrick M combo. That's kind of where like my 2 builds are kind of leaning right now. So I want to see how this kind of finish out. You guys mentioned M's history here is amazing. Fitzpatrick, I play him all the time anyways, but the form he's in, the course history, we talked about it last week, and it made me laugh because he comes out, gets Kevin the first-round leader, and then he kind of wavers and does his thing. He's sitting near the top, and then he has to do his Sunday like Fleetwood. He did it. It was like a typical Tommy Fleetwood week, just like you mentioned, Kevin. And one of these days, it's got to click. But I like him in this field. I think at $9,800, he barely gets played at regular price. At $9,800, he's going to get like maybe 4 or 5% ownership. I think. I don't think he'll be a lot, but we'll see. I could be wrong. And then I like the Casey idea. I think that's just in deep GPPs for me. He just kind of tilts me so much, but if he gets it done, he gets it done. And I never Jordan Spieth. It's like the Rockies and pitching in baseball. I just don't Spieth.
Oh, but, thanks a lot for that.
Oh, I forgot you're on the show.
Wow, shots fired.
He understands.
And my baseball season ended a few weeks ago, so it doesn't matter. Actually, I placed a future on the Cardinals today. I got a new team this year. My Rockies.
You got you following Arenado to St. Louis, huh?
Yeah, got to. Why not?
I love it. 8K range now. I got Billy Ho coming off a big week at 8,900. Usti at 88. Molly 87. Is that your boy 86, Jesse? Homa 85. Burns 84. English 83. Leash 82. Kokrak 81. Not 8,000. Kiz 8,000. If you're playing cash, just pick 6 of these guys and move on. But Jesse, who do you like here?
I like how you don't even say his name anymore. It's just my boy.
It's your boy.
Yeah, at 8,600, and everybody knows it because I've been on since middle school. Let's start with Billy Horschel. I mean, he does wear clown shoes on the golf course, and I don't really like it, but course history, you can't really you can't argue with it. He hasn't missed a cut here since before 2014. I don't know if there was one missed back then, but finishes aren't necessarily great, but he's making the cut. Coming off the second place finish last week, obviously he's in Florida. Louis Oosthuizen, the course history is mixed, miscut his last 2 years here, but before that, 28th, 9th, 64th. Coming off the 6th place finish, he played really well last week. I think Fran at 8,700. Now this is a massive increase from where we've been used to playing. Well, at AT&T he was 9,300, but I feel like he's been a 7K guy, which he has been really. If you take out the AT&T, 8th place at the Genesis, which was his last start. I mean, he's got 3 top 10s in his last 4 starts. Pretty impressive for Franny, and really good course history. Zalatoris, yes, 8,600 playing him. Burns, I think he'll be popular. Kokrak is interesting to me because he's playing pretty well right now, has decent course history. And a guy that I think is kind of maybe potentially sneaky this week, call me crazy, Kevin Na $8,000. Had a really good round on Sunday. He had a really good weekend this past weekend, finished 11th at the workday. Obviously had the win over in Hawaii, had a miscut after that, but then 21st, 38th, now 11th. Playing pretty well, $8,000. I think he'll kind of get overlooked here. So Kevin Na is kind of my sneaky McSneakerton play of the week.
Nice. Kevin, what do you like in this 8K range?
Yeah, my favorite play in this range is Kokrak. He's been pretty good here. I like his tee to green game is awfully good. Willie Z, he gained 9.3 strokes tee to green last week. He lost 4.8 strokes putting on
putter
green.
Is so bad.
Yeah, it's not great, and those concession greens are a hell of a lot more difficult than Bay Hill. So if he gains somewhere around that, 6.5 to 7.5 off the tee and a tee to green, he could be pretty darn good here. Homa, I love Homa this week. He's high in all my model, all my rankings, all my stats. I think it's a good spot for him, and those are the three guys I'll probably be with down here.
Yeah, on the broadcast on Saturday, Bryson was with Willie Z, and he was telling the reporters that Willie Z is probably one of the best ball strikers he's ever played golf with. He said it was just ridiculous watching him swing after swing. It was pretty high praise from Mr. Bryson DeChambeau about Willie Z. But Jesse already knew that, so it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
So in the 8K range, you can make a lot of arguments here. I usually never play Billy Ho, but in cash, I think he's a very good cash game play. I don't know if I play him in a GPP just because I tilt him too much, but in a cash game, I like his course history here quite a bit. Usti's intriguing. Molly, like you mentioned, he's getting that price bump, but I like what we're seeing from Molly. He seems like he's figured something out. So give me $8,700 Molinari. I'll be there. I love the Kokrak call a lot at 81. I'm on most of the guys you mentioned. The only guy we didn't mention here that I want to get your guys' opinion on, because I know we'll get asked about it in the chat, is Leishman. He's made 5 straight cuts here, 6 of his last 7. His last 4 years, 2nd, 23rd, 7th, 1st. Back-to-back made cuts coming into this event. You got any thoughts on Leishman, Kevin?
Yeah, I'll definitely play some Leash. Plan on doing the $3 or $4 150 max, and definitely got to have some Leash. But nothing major sticks out right yet. Definitely a cash game play for sure if you want to go that route.
What about you, Jesse? Anything on Leishman?
The one thing about Leishman is his short game has been carrying him. So if he can figure out the irons and the tee balls, be in better shape. So, I think he's fine. I don't think I'll play him, but.
Yeah, and then the other guy you mentioned was Burns. I love Sam Burns. I love him a lot, but I expected him to be extremely chalky this week. Yeah. So
I've got a big no next to Sam Burns.
Yeah, I think I'm going to steer clear, which sucks, but I've heard Mayo mention him about 7 times on his podcast today, and that's not even his DK podcast yet, so just wait. That flood's coming. It's coming, folks. 7K range, 7,500 to 7,900. Kevin, who stands out to you in that range?
Right off the bat, Griot. Are we doing all the 7,000 range or 7,500?
7,500 to 79.
Well, then let's go. I like Charlie Hoffman in GPP, Bezuidenhout, Gooch, and Davis. And Davis actually is number 2 in my overall model.
Interesting, because I was looking at Davis quite a bit. I've played him a ton lately. Longer course would suit him well. I don't know. There's something about him never playing here. It worries me a bit, but he's making cuts. He's playing well. Then you could say that about a lot of the tournaments for him right now he hasn't played at. So
yeah, tee to green, he's just been so good. Tee to green and approach, he's top 14. Yeah, he's 4th in tee to green and 14th approach.
Nice. I'm gonna have to dig in some more on Mr. Davis. What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I think Cam Davis is a good play. I think Gooch is okay too. 13th last year, 26th in 2018 at this course, coming off the 12th place at the Genesis Invitational there. So obviously the course history is good, and I do think Cam Davis, like, he's become a popular name because I don't really know why, other than he hits the ball really far. Tringali at 77. Made 3 cuts in a row at this tournament and hasn't missed a cut since the Bermuda back in November. Lawntoe at 7,700, 36th here last year, and 3 straight made cuts for him with a top 10 mixed in there. So it's kind of where I'm leaning this week, in this range.
Yeah, I like Gooch quite a bit at 79. And you guys mentioned him already. Lawntoe at 77, Bezenhout at 75. The guys we didn't mention were Rose and Fowler. Rose played horrific over the weekend. Like, it was just ugly all over across the board. Then Ricky Fowler, he didn't even play this weekend because he didn't qualify. But he's made 5 straight cuts here, 18th, 40th, 14th, 12th, 29th. He had a miscut and a third. So the course history is good. We know he usually plays better in Florida. It's like $7,800 for a guy that seems like he might be getting close to figuring out. Like he finished 20th 2 weeks ago, miscut, 53rd, 21st. Any interest in a Ricky Fowler, Jesse?
No.
Kevin?
In the 150 max, maybe a little bit, yes.
So deep. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at it going, man, this is the guy we used to play so much more expensive. We're getting a price decrease. It feels like the way I know it's a different tournament than the Waste Management, but it feels like everything we said about Brooks a few weeks ago. But then again, Brooks is not Ricky Fowler. So I'm just trying to like go through every scenario in my head, and then I was like, no. I'm gonna just like edit all this out later. But
the issue with Fowler to me is he's always overowned. Like people love Ricky Fowler for whatever reason. I've never been a Ricky Fowler guy. I mean, if you're a Ricky Fowler guy, this is the week to play him because he's got good course history. He's below 8K. You know, he's coming off a 20th place finish. Like it's time. It's really time for him to start playing good golf. But you won't find me playing him.
It's tricky. All right, 7K to 7,400. Jesse, which guys stand out to you there?
Griot. I'll let Kevin kind of compound on that a little bit more. Matt Jones, right below Griot there, good course history, very good form coming in, especially for somebody at this price, which is 7,400. He hasn't missed a cut since the Sanderson's Farm back in October. Has an 8th place finish that he's coming off of at the Genesis. A couple other top 20 sprinkled in there. Like him quite a bit. I think Connors is fine. Luke List, for whatever reason, he plays well here. 10th, 7th, 17th. But, do you really want to? I mean, here's the thing about Luke List is Mayo's going to be on him, so he's going to be higher owned than what he normally would have been. Probably, it's sketch, but I mean, the course history doesn't lie to me. Norlander at 7,200. He did play here last year, missed the cut, coming off a missed cut at the Genesis, but I think it's a good bounce back spot for him. And then last but not least, 7,100. Robert McIntyre has never played here. Mostly a Euro Tour guy. He did play the workday. He finished 61st, which is almost last. But either way, just from a stats perspective, he's the model tells me he's gonna do all right this week.
What about you, Kevin? What do you like in this range?
Yeah, I love Griot. 3 attempts here, 26th, 7th, 17th. So he's pretty much going to be an auto play at 7,400 for me. Good form. Definitely be a top 10 bet in the write-up this week once those numbers come out that I can find and get a hold of. Do like Hadwin a little bit. Cash-wise, your boy Poulter, 10 straight made cuts here.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And that's hard to ignore. Like Jesse said, Luke List. Tee to green, 9th on my model, 14th in ball striking. He gets it from tee to green at this place, and really just in general when he's playing well, unbelievably well tee to green. Can't putt, but at this place, putting's not overly important. The greens aren't overly tricky. I do like the Bobby McIntyre play just a little bit. Stats aren't all that great, but there's not many stats that folks can draw off of other than last week for Bobby Mac. Chris Kirk, 4 top 16s since 2013. Really interesting. His missed cuts were when his game was just no good at all. But he's in decent form, and do think that Chris Kirk should not go overlooked. And then finally, it's a Keegan track.
Oh boy,
8 straight made cuts here. 2nd and 3rd in 2013 and 14. 26 and 2018. Other than that, his finishes haven't been all that spectacular. But when it comes to tee to green, he's as good as they get.
Yeah, Keegan track. That's always something that's scary to hear, but we've all been there before. Yeah, you mentioned Matt Jones, Jesse. The history's there, but Poulter at $7,300. If you're playing cash, play Fultz. I don't even mind him in a GPP, but I prefer him in cash. Noren's intriguing in GPP though. If you want to pivot off of Poulter, he's a very up and down guy who plays well in Florida. He's played well at this event. He's also played bad at this event, so that's why he's very, very up and down. But if you look at Noren's history here, miscut last year, but then 36th, 49th, 12th place finish a couple weeks ago at the Genesis. So he's a guy that's kind of interesting at 73. I love Luke List at 72, like you guys mentioned. And then the other two that I have written down here, Benny On, 5 straight made cuts here, 58th, 10th, 14th, 49th, 38th, coming off a 35th in Puerto Rico. So Benyon at 71 is pretty nice. And then I'm going to go back to a guy that played and got me a nice 8th place finish at the Genesis, finished 68th here last year. One of the better – he's made 4 straight cuts on tour, very good tee to green guy. And when the putter gets going, he's actually quite sneaky. And Wyndham Clark at $7,000. I like him in this event as another low-owned play with you guys. 6K range. Kevin, what do you like down here?
There's one guy that I'll probably start a lot of lineups with Rory and Matthew Neesmith. Like Neesmith here, his last 4 events, tee to green, he gained 4.8, 8.3, 5.5, and 7.1. And for some reason, this stat just keeps jumping out at me, tee to green. And he's been pretty damn good. Actually ranks 23rd in my model overall. And at 6,900, it's going to be hard to pass him up. Other than that, Brendan Steele a little bit. I always kind of feel like he and Chris Kirk are almost the same exact guy.
Yeah.
They look alike. They kind of walk and have the same mannerisms and feel like Steele's game is suited for this place. And like Zach Johnson a little bit here too.
Yeah, he's got very, very good history. Jesse, what do you like in the 6K range?
Yeah, Steele and Neesmith are on my list as well. Patrick Rogers has good course history.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a Patrick Rogers week?
I don't mind him at $6,800. If you want in a tournament, go for it.
I think I don't mind him as a ringing endorsement. Keith Mitchell, 5th and 6th in his last 2 starts at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, coming off 3 consecutive missed cuts. But he's more of a Bermuda guy. Kyle Stanley at 6,500. I mean, I can remember when Kyle Stanley was like a cash game, just lock and load, just ball striker extraordinaire. Now, he has made 5 straight cuts on tour and finished inside the top 40 in all 5 of those cuts, which to me is pretty good for Kyle Stanley, at least the way he's been playing over the last couple of years. Course history, basically, if he makes a cut, he's finished in top 20. Now, he's missed a cut in half of the last 6 years, but whatever. If he makes it, he's finished in top 20. Tom Hogue at 65, I think, is interesting. Wasn't that long ago where he was, I think, close to or leading, I think, the AT&T or whatever. Yep. 15th here last year, 26th back in 2018. He's got the course history there. So I think he'll go overlooked. Oh, all these guys will go overlooked at 6,500, but those would be my guys.
Yeah, it's interesting for a tournament to have so many good course history guys down here. You guys have mentioned most of them. The other guys I'll mention, Johnny Huh. He's made all 6 cuts here. Didn't play here the last 2 years because he's battling injury, but he's made 6 cuts prior to that. Made 5 straight cuts on tour, so I don't hate him at 66. And the other guy that was not mentioned yet that I think is intriguing from a GPP perspective is Sung Kang as well. He's $6,300, and I'm trying to get my off. There we go. He made 3 straight cuts here, including a 9th and a 6th the last 2 years. He's coming in with back-to-back made cuts, a 67th and a 63rd. Not great, but very good course history at $6,300. If you can play him and get a top 10, you'll be doing cartwheels. So that's intriguing. You look at the lower 7s and the 6K range, all the guys that have been mentioned, it makes an argument for sure to play Rory and company. Like you could compared to most weeks. And in saying so, let's recap things. 10K and above. Jesse, who's your number 1 guy?
I'm going to say Hovland.
What about you, Kevin?
Rory.
Yeah, Rory. I'm with you there. 9K range. Jesse, who's your number 1 guy?
Fitzpatrick.
Kevin?
Yep, same.
We're all the same on that one. Not gonna deviate there. 8K range. Give me 2 guys, Jesse.
2 guys, Will Zalatoris and the sneaky play, Kevin Na.
What about you, Kevin?
I'll go Kokrak and Homa.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kokrak and Molinari. 7,500 and above. Jesse, give me 1.
Oh, man, that's tough. I'm going to say Tringali.
I like it. What about you, Kevin?
Cam Davis.
I'll go Gooch. 7,000 to 74. Jesse, go for it.
How many?
How many you want? You can go 1
All
or 2.
of them.
1 or 2.
Griot and Jones.
What about you, Kevin?
I'll go Griot and Kirk.
I'll go Poulter and Benyon. Man, that lower 7 range is a lot of fun down there. That'd be good for the Cascade. That's all I know. 6K range. Who's your top punt this week, Jesse?
Neesmith.
Kevin?
Yeah, same.
I'm going to go with Johnny Huh. That'll be my guy at $6,600. If you're building a cash lineup, what are 3 guys you're starting out with, Kevin?
Cash. You got to go with your boy Poltz.
Yep.
I would go Rory because there's still some guys down here in the upper 7K range that are pretty good. And I go Griot.
I don't mind that. What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Poulter call for Cash, and then Zalatoris and Paul Casey.
I'll go Poulter, Horschel, M. Those would be 3 guys I'd start out with. For starting out a GPP lineup, though, Kevin, who are you starting out with?
I'd go GPP. I'd go Kokrak. I'd go Cam Davis, and I would go Neesmith.
What about you, Jesse?
Hovland, Luke List, and Kokrak.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rory, Kokrak, and Johnny Huh. 3 guys I'll start out with in that lineup. Who do you got winning this thing, Jesse? Besides Rory McIlroy.
As far as odds go, I'm looking at Bovada here.
It's hard this week.
40-1. Not terrible. Kevin Na, 50-1 as the McSneakerton play. Other than that, I totally. I mean, the guy to ask here is not me; it's Kevin, the guy who's hit half the damn.
That's why I let you go. That's why I let you go first.
I appreciate it. Made me look like an idiot, and then let him instead of me being like, "Yeah, I agree, 100% with what Kevin just said."
That's what I'm
100% on board with that.
Kevin, who do you like to win this week?
The run's going to end sometime. We all know it, but better enjoy it while we can. I've only made one bet so far, and it's Fitzpatrick. I was dead set on getting up this morning betting Hovland, and no dice there.
12,
yeah. I mean, it's just not worth it to me, especially when I really got that feeling about Rory. But I do like the Kokrak call. I'll probably be heavier on some top 10 plays this week as opposed to 4 or 5 outrights. I may just have 2, maybe 3 outrights. So I'll get the write-up done here shortly.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a week because the favorites are so heavy. That's why Fitzpatrick at 22, I do like that. But you get outside of that, and it's like Molly at 28. And no, I'm not totally in love with that. Usti at 33, no. But if you want top 10 them, maybe. But take some gambles down. Between the Griots, the Ons, the list, that group down there, I could see at least one top 10 coming out of that grouping somewhere, and that'll pay off everything.
Have you got any interest in Justin Rose at 66-1 after he met with his coach?
Not a chance for me.
No, I wish I did. I like Rosie. I like rooting for him, but I've even got a note here not to play him very much this week in Draftkings. I know he's got some good course history, but after last week, I just don't see it this week.
Yeah, eventually, it'll click, and I just won't be on him that week. It's just going to happen because it's a train wreck watching him right now. Even watching him hit some shots on Saturday, I think he didn't even know where the ball was going half the time. He's like, Jesus, you have the kind of fading and stuff. He wouldn't know what was going on. It was tough to watch.
It's a crazy game, isn't it, to see him play well at Saudi and then come back, and it's like, geez, I mean, it's so hard picking this stuff.
Yeah, it's a wild. That's why it takes experts, Kevin. It takes experts.
Experts, I love that.
Yeah. But any final thoughts for the week, gentlemen?
We need to get some more talk going in the Slack, man. There's some good folks in there. Let's get that thing amped up, guys that are in there.
It should be a fun week. I mean, this is a great week. And then is the players next week? Is that what the situation is?
That's why there's so few guys playing this week. They're taking a week off.
And then
knowing what you know right now, would you rather play Ricky this week or next week?
Next week. Well, the thing is, he'll be more chalky next week, I think, because of the players. Everyone loves him. That's why I kind of want to talk about him this week.
But will he be 6,000 next week?
Depends on what he does this week.
That's true.
So yeah, no, that's part of my consideration, Kevin, is next week everyone's going to play Ricky if he's at $7,800. Everyone. So do you get in now and hope he has a good week, or do you hope he has a bad week and then everyone plays him at $6,900?
Yeah,
it's tricky. I kind of look forward to seeing what Sungjae's price is next week. That intrigues me quite a bit, but we'll have to wait and see. But everybody, you can check out Kevin on Twitter at Kevin's Delight. Jesse's on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods, the podcast at Always Press DFS. I am at BDintric. Good luck this week. Like Kevin said, come hit us up in the Slack if you have any questions. We'll catch you guys later.